Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Sage Intacct Construction demo. My name is Sullivan Sanders, a marketing coordinator here at Action Associates. Just some quick housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded, so you are muted, and we will share the link to the recording after the webinar. During the presentation, please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions if needed, and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end. And if you experience any technical issues during the webinar, you may also use the Q&A feature, and we will try to assist you. We have also provided a post-webinar survey, which is already available in your webinar console. So please fill that out as your feedback is important to us. And with all that being said, let me introduce you to today's presenter, Jim Davis. Jim is a seasoned construction professional with over 25 years of experience in the industry. His expertise spans across various facets, including accounting, finance, operations, and software solutions. Throughout his career, Jim has consistently demonstrated a strong understanding of the industry, best practices, and a deep knowledge of Sage software applications. With all that being said, I'll hand it on over to you, Jim.
Great. Thank you so much. And thanks, everybody, for joining us today. In today's demonstration, we're going to kind of do a high-level overview of some different aspects of Intacct. And that, as mentioned at the end of it, we will have some Q&A. If there's some specifics you'd like to ask me, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about them. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off with a quick PowerPoint and then jump right into the product. So within the demonstration, just to kind of understand what we're going through with this PowerPoint, we are going to have the full demonstration, but we're also going to talk a little bit about Action and some of the things that Action has invested in to make the entire process of moving softwares into Intacct a little bit more streamlined and easy for you to do. So one of the questions I often get is, why are we doing Sage Intacct? Why didn't we just take, whether it be Sage 100, Sage 300, and kind of redo it and build it out for the web? Well, the answer is that 50,000, right? We have 50,000 construction clients. That's not users, that's actual companies using a construction product within the Sage family. That'd be Sage 100, Sage 300, even Sage 50. And we needed to get to the market and give our clients a quick way to move into that cloud that everybody's asking to get into. And Sage had Sage Intacct, so we built the construction feature set out with this product to really get it to you quicker and give you all the aspects you've been waiting for. Now, as we move forward, I do want to talk quickly about dimensions, because dimensions are a huge part of Intacct. And dimensions are the way that Intacct actually takes every transaction and catalogs and stores it. So it's not just a field in the system. It's not just a filter that you can put on a report or something. The system actually takes that transaction and saves it in each one of those dimensions. That makes it a lot easier and more robust when we talk about reporting and dashboards and things along those lines, which you'll see a little bit later in the demonstration. And dimensions are everything from things like your entities or departments, the customers, the vendors, the projects, or even cost codes. So to kind of put that in perspective, when you're doing something like entering an AP invoice, you have the vendor, you're putting what company it's for, what department it's for, what job it's for. So when this transaction finishes, it's actually storing it in each one of those locations. So when we go in and we look at reporting, whether it's in the GL or anywhere, when that transaction goes down, it's actually stored that way. So I can take any account and say, you know what, break this account down by the vendor, or break this account down by the customer or the job. I get much better reporting capabilities out of the system. As I keep going forward, I wanted to bring up this one because Sage is the big player in construction, right? And because of that, as Sage Construction, this Intacct for construction has come out, clients and other products are racing towards it, right? So when you look at something like this, like the Procores, the miters, even the TimberScan Titanium, these products have developed these interfaces very quickly. And if you guys are already using an interface for something like Procore, it's important to understand that Sage Intacct is open APIs. So there's no longer a middleware, right? These companies have written their interfaces, and it is a direct read-write via the APIs into Intacct. So anybody that's been around some of those other products that have tried to interface with the legacy products where you have those kind of hiccups, you don't have those when you talk about Intacct. And this grouping, these different companies, it grows every day. So as we start looking at this, you can see some of them on screen. But if you ever want to, you can go out to marketplace.intacct.com and see all these different companies that are integrating with Intacct. We also have the question about security a lot because it's a web-based software. People are scared of that, right? They've always had their security. It's important to understand that security inside of Intacct is at a level for banking, things like that. We have multiple redundancies and backups. They're offsite, they're on-site. We have all that capacity. Plus, we give you extra capacity within the software. So, you know, when the traffic ramps up, you actually have extra space so the system doesn't slow down on you. You can see that Intacct is also, and a lot of people don't know what this is, but SOC 1 and SOC 2 compliant. These are huge certifications. These are the kind of things you need when you're working with organizations that are maybe, you know, like banks and Fortune 500 companies. They need that kind of level of capability and reporting in the systems. Intacct has that capability. You will not outgrow this system. As we move forward, just talking a little bit, you know, we have the Action Data Bridge. This is one of the ways that Action can help you move into Intacct. This is something we offer. There's no other ones out there that are offering this, where we can actually help convert your data from Sage 300 and get it into Sage Intacct. So you have that history, that capability of doing year-over-year financial reporting, things like that. It's all available to you. When we move forward, we just talked about Data Bridge, but we also have Data Integrator. What is this? Well, even though there's a lot of companies that have already written capabilities to Intacct, you might have one that's out there that's something different, something that, you know, really is off the radar. Well, with Action's Data Integrator, we can actually help you integrate that via APIs to Intacct. So you have that best of both worlds. We want you to have the best products that help you with your company. The last thing is data analytics. We have a piece at Action, if you choose to use it, that offers you a BI tool, not just like a Microsoft BI, but a more in-depth one. Because not only do I have the ability to get to some of that data and give you dashboards and all that information, but I can give you analytics behind where those dashboards came from with drill down capabilities all the way down into the transactions that support the numbers you're seeing. So that's a great piece also inside the system. So let's go ahead and look at Intacct. Let me go ahead and just share my screen here and pull this one up. Share. Can everybody see my screen right now? Hopefully. I think it just came up, so I see that you can see it. Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. So today we're going to start by looking at some of the ease of use functionality that contributes to Sage winning something called the GT Award for customer satisfaction. That's actually a customer award where they vote on it. So we have customers out there that are saying Sage Intacct is so easy to use. It is customer driven. It's not some group that's out there looking at it. It's actual customers saying this is a great product. And we win that award year over year, quarter over quarter. So when we look at this product, you can already see that modern UI to it, right? And it has that intuitive layout. Users can easily modify preferences. If I come over here to my name, I can go into my preferences. And in this preferences screen, not only can we update things like our password, but as we scroll down, we actually have the ability to change the way the software presents us all the information. Now that's an individual getting to do that. That lends to the functionality and enhances the user experience inside the software. We can change menus, color schemes, how many records show up on different pages for drop downs and lists and things like that. Change the way decimal places work, type ahead suggestions. Maybe you want to use the enter key instead of the tab key to move between fields. All of this lends itself to ease of use, but ease of use is subjective. So by allowing the individual to control this, it really enhances the ease of use inside the product. So as I come back out of this, I want to go ahead and talk about the fact that Intacct does have a collaboration feature. Inside the collaboration feature, on every record and every document, we can actually discuss with other users inside of Intacct what's going on with that document. And we can store that information and actually track it in the system. Applications themselves are easily accessed through a drop-down menu. Within this menu, we use roles-based security. So when you come in here, you only see information that you've been given access to, whether it's the application itself or things inside the application, the actual tasks. You also can see these gold stars here, which I can easily hover over, take them off. I can hover over anything, even reports inside the system. I can check anything off with that gold star. What that does is it allows me to define things that I use all the time. So I don't have to go looking through the menu for them. They're actually in a favorites menu, giving me quick and easy access to those things we do all the time. We also have individuals that like more of a visual workflow, right? They want to see icons, things like that. You can do that. We just double click the application and you have that visual workflow through the system. Now, as we move forward and look at some other things, and with these features, it just makes it adaptable. It's the ease of use, right? So one of the things I want to talk about, just to make sure the people that need it on this call understand, is we do have the ability inside the system to have multi-entity, so intercompany transactions. And Sage has done a great job with this. I'm going to go into the background of this and just show you something, because when we start talking about the multi-entity environment, it's a little bit different than a lot of things maybe you've incurred before. So previously, you've probably been set up kind of in this basic mode. When you create a new company, you say, hey, here's my due to and due from for that company. That's great and everything overall. But if I have a bunch of companies and I run a financial statement, a balance sheet for this company, I can see people owe me money or I owe them money, but I don't know who. I have to almost audit that to get the details behind it. Intacct allows us to set that up in a more advanced level and define accounts by how they are integrating to the different companies. This gives us the ability to get much better reporting from a financial aspect. The system also has a global search functionality. This global search functionality allows me to look across all my companies, all the transactions, and find information from right here anytime I want. I can search by names, strings of text, or even dollar figures. For instance, I can come in here and say 3,000 and tell it, hey, find me all the AP bills that are $3,000. When I hit go, it's going to search through the system. So it's searching through all my companies. By the way, I have 8 companies in this database, and it's going to show me everything I need. Now I can default how many records I want up on this page, or I can scroll through it. Whatever it is we need to do to get to that information. Now, when we find the transaction we're looking for, we have the ability to drill into it, taking us to the actual transaction, not some type of a drill down screen. As you can see, I have the ability to see attachments in this system. These are true attachments, not a pointer to somewhere else in the system, not onto your hard drives or anything like that. It actually makes a copy and stores it in the system. Now, from this record, I have the availability to see anything I need. I have it all right here. I can see it was paid, when it was paid, what check paid it, the vendor information, how we distributed this. It's all available to me right here. So I can have a conversation with anybody I need to have it with. Plus, when you look in Intacct and you see different colors, whether it's blue or green like this, it means I can get to more information. For instance, maybe you're a subcontractor or somebody called you. Why haven't I been paid for this invoice? It's so old. Well, I can go in and say, well, you were paid. Well, let's take a look at what's going on. And I can drill down from this record without leaving and get more information, such as where this check was written out of, things like that. And it's another color here. I can drill down further. I can see that entire register. I can see it hasn't cleared the bank yet. I could even, because it's so old, void it from right here using whatever date I want to void it and reprint the check. I don't have to go in and out of screens to get the information I want. This makes the system more user-friendly, and it actually speeds up processing time for you. Now, I'd like to go back and talk about the dashboards real quick. So I'm going to go into dashboards. I'm just going to open one up. On a dashboard, you can see we can have lots of different information. We can have KPIs. We can have actual reports. So this is different than a lot of systems that use inquiries. We're actually using reports. We can conditionally format them, drawing your attention to things you need to see in the screen. We can see it broken up in lots of different ways, but we can also change what we're seeing just by playing with the dimensions. For instance, maybe I just want it, because I'm at the top level, which is all encompassing, maybe I just want it for this company. I can go in and say, show me it just for that company. And it changes the whole screen. I might go in and say, I want it for that company, but I only want it for certain types of projects like hotels that we're doing. I can go in there and reformat the whole thing, and now I'm looking at it this way. I'm getting to the information I want. I can even say as of a specific date, changing all the costs and things like that within the report. We get a lot of different information out of here. Now, one of the nice things about this, remember I talked about the colors. If it's in a different color, I can drill down. So for instance, here's this sugar shop. Well, where's this number coming from, this 194? Well, let's drill down and find out. It's drilling in and I'm seeing all of the transactions. Now, I might come in here and look at these transactions and go, well, what is that? Well, I'll click on it and go down deeper. And guess what? I am now in the transaction, that same transaction reviewed a second ago. I have the ability to get all the way down there and find out what's going on. I can become much more productive inside the system. These dashboards can be created for individuals, giving them what they want to see, and can be the screen that pops up as they log in, really setting the stage for our day-to-day activities. And these are easy to set up. I wasn't planning on showing you this, but I want to show you it. I want to show you how easy it is to add something to these screens. So I'm going to come over here, whether you want to modify one that's already in there, or maybe you want to start one from scratch. It's the same type of instance. I can come right here and tell it I want to add a widget to this. It wants to know what kind of widget. So general is things like my calendars and dashboard or billboards, things like that. But maybe I want to add a chart or a graph or one of the KPI cards. Maybe I want to add a record. Or maybe I want to add a report. Great. What kind of report? You want a financial report or one of the other kinds of reports? Well, which report do you want? So I can come right in here and say, I would really like, let's just go down here and grab this one. I can make it all rows. I can make it live. I can say I want it to start off collapsed. I have all of those abilities right here on screen. When I hit save, it's going to update the system. Now, obviously, all of this is controlled by security. But as we scroll down through here now and we look at all these different things and ways that we've sorted it, you're going to find that record. There it is. Remember, I started it collapsed, but I can open it up. You want it in a different place? Great. Just drag and drop it. You can move it anywhere you want on the screen. You want it up here? Great. There it is. That's how easy it is, guys. So I want you to understand that when I tell you something's easy in the system and I tell you you're going to be able to do it, you've probably heard that in the past and you've gotten into it and gone, well, maybe not. I'm showing you it right here so you know that you can do it. Okay, so let's go on, talk a little bit about job cost itself. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to go into one of these companies just to get a little bit more job cost information. And I want you to understand that it has full job costing capabilities built in, which include the ability to do things like jobs, contracts, commitments, change requests, and change orders. You get to define it. And not only do you get to define that information, but it's much more flexible. What do I mean by that? I mean that you're going to be able to come in here, go into things like the project here, and when you go in and set up your cost code list, it no longer matters what the numbering scheme is, right? Now, you may choose to leave it in kind of a CSI type format or something like that, but you don't have to. It doesn't require the numbers or the look and feel of this to be the same to know how to roll up. As you can see here, I kind of have the same numbers, but then I have one called Jim, and it still knows to roll up to here. It's an alphanumeric field, and when we set these up, we define where it rolls up to. So these can look any way you want. On top of that, when we come out here and we look at these projects, we have true parent-child relationships. This is not job extra. This is literally a job within a job. I have the ability to bill at each one of these levels or at the top level. I can get reporting at each level or at the top level. And not only do I have parent-child, I have grandchild, even great-grandchild if you want to go that low, and the ability to report at every one of those levels. Now, if we go in and we look at a job itself, so I'm just going to go in here real quick and open up one of these jobs. I think this is probably a good one right here. You're going to see we see a lot of information right here on the job screen. I can see what type of job it is, if it has a parent job or not, what company or location it's for, what department is it for, who the project manager is, scope information. But as we move through further, we'll see things like a project summary. How much have we spent in material labor costs? What's our profit margin right now? I can see my budget from right here. I'm going to go into edit mode so I can open it up and show you. So you've probably entered a screen like this already, where you're coming in and saying, okay, for this cost code, this cost type, here's my dollar value. It's all right here for me. I can also see all my commitments, so all the purchase orders, subcontracts associated with this. And I can see high-level information, right? How much has been invoiced today? How much is being retained? How much has been paid? It's all right here for me. But as you can see, different color. If I need more information, I can drill in, go all the way down to the subcontract level. I have not left the job screen. So from here, I have even more information. I can see the schedule of values for this subcontract. I can see how much has been billed at each one of the line items. I can come up here to the top. I can see if there's been any change orders. I can drill down into those change orders. I can see the history. So right here, who created it, who last modified it. I can drill into every one of the invoices that have been created for this subcontract, all the way down. I can see that change management from here. I can see contract information from here. I can drill into the contract. I can see the schedule of values, all from the job screen. I can even see the invoices that we sent out. So it's all available to me right here inside the system. Now, once we have this set up, we have our budget and everything, obviously we start looking at the different pieces of this product. We can look at things like our purchasing capabilities. Yes, we can do full purchase orders. It's not like just changing the name of it. We actually have a purchase order functionality. And we have the ability to do quotes or even the subcontracts. Now you can see everything's separated. It's not commitments that we just change the name of. They are actually different transactions in the system. And Intacct has a unique availability around these. That's something called transaction definitions. So you can actually define the workflow through the system. And we can take this and convert it from one stage to the next. So when I come out here and I look at a subcontract like we were looking at a second ago, and we're looking at this information, you can see all the different information here. Now, if I go in and look at one of these, so I can go in and view it, just like we saw a second ago, here's all the information, right? But that transaction definition defines what happens next. So let's say we're putting an invoice in against a subcontract. I can come right here and say, hey, do me a favor and convert this to an invoice. It automatically takes that information, defines it as connected to that subcontract, so we're tracking it. We can put in the invoice number and then tell it how much each one of the lines is being billed this period, creating this functionality very quickly. With Sage, you also have the ability to come in and create those contracts. So in the system, I can come up to my projects and I can create contracts. Now, with these contracts, I have the ability to do T&M, cost plus, AIA type billing, all inside the system. You can see that this is going to be very easy compared to some of the things you've done before. Setting up that schedule of values, how we're going to distribute it, everything else. I can sort by any column and anywhere in the system, giving us the information we need to have. And I can do the billing right out of the system by just coming over here and saying, I want to generate invoices. Really gives us a lot of flexibility. But on top of that, I want to show you that we don't necessarily need that extra piece that some of you have to do things like change request. It's built into the system. And we can take a single change request or multiple change requests and turn them into a change order. All of that functionality is built into Sage Intacct for Construction. However, if you do need more, and we're just going to touch on this, Intacct does have the ability to come in and do construction management. So this is our project management completely integrated via APIs. We have apps. We even have a way that the subs can come in, look at their projects, see what's going on their project, look at all the invoices they've turned in, even create new invoices in the system. All available to us right here. Do RFIs, drawing logs. All of that capability is inside the system with multiple views to it. Once again, there is an app for this. So if the guys in the field want to use an iPad or something like that, all of this functionality is available to them. This product gives us the ability to have operations and accounting fully integrated. Now, coming back over, I do want to go back into the system. I'm going to close those real quick and a couple other columns here. When we start looking through this system and seeing everything we have, I want to point out something to you. As I go in and look at things like maybe an accounts payable system or anything like that, I want you to look closely and understand that in this system, you don't see post. That's because Sage has a concept of always closing. What does that mean? Intacct is always up to date. When you do things like run a financial report or do a job report, anything like that, you don't have to worry about, oh, I better go and make sure AP is posted. I better go and make sure job cost is posted. It is. So your reports are always up to date. So we have those capabilities also. The last thing I want to talk to you about is some flexibility. Oh, actually, there's two more things, and I apologize for that. I do want to point out that within cash management, and we'll go into a checking account here, and I'm just going to go into edit mode because I want to show you a couple things. First of all, we have the ability to connect to your bank. So we have a complete bank feed using the Plaid system. And it does have the ability to auto match with transactions in your system and show you which transactions are not there, giving us a lot of flexibility in the system. The other thing I want to point out is over here under check printing. You can see we can use pre-printed check stock, but we can also use blank check stock. There's no longer a need for like a created check, print boss, all that good stuff. We can handle those scenarios right out of the system. We can also do ACH payments right out of the system and create that ACH file to send to your bank, along with sending automatically to your vendor, hey, I paid this with this check number, you should be seeing it, whatever your bank takes, end of the day, next day, whatever it may be. So we have all those flexibilities, adding more functionality inside of Intacct. Now I want to talk about the last thing. So I'm going to come down here to reporting. And I want to show you a couple things. First of all, we have lots of different reporting tools, whether it's the custom report writer, which walks you through a complete wizard, the custom interactive reports, and our financial reports. So today I just want to pull up financial reports for you really quickly. Within the financial reporting, you can see all these different reports. And I want to pull up this quick start library because you get all of these reports right out of the box. Multiple profit and loss statements, multiple balance sheets, cash flow statements. They're all in the system. And all you have to do is you can come here, you can maybe check out the layout and see what it's going to look like. Oh yeah, I like that one. Hit install, it's yours. Once it's installed, you can modify it, you can duplicate it, you can do whatever you want to it. But in this case today, guys, I want to show you a little bit more flexibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and just create one real quick. Now, any of you that have created a financial statement, or maybe you haven't had the ability to even create financial statements in the past, you had to use what's in the system. Let's go in here and I'm just going to create a quick P&L for you. So we're going to call it a P&L and we're going to go over to our rows. And I'm going to select the account groups I want on this. Now, you could go through and say, I want revenue and I want cost of goods sold and so forth and so on. We're going to take a little shortcut here and I'm just going to say net income for today. Oh, sorry, got to be in the field there. Net income, because it requires all that stuff to actually create the net income. So we're just going to pull it in that way. And as you can see, I have all of my accounts. Now, I can go ahead and preview this and see the information on this system. And sorry, it's because we need to roll that back a bunch because it's sample data. So let's just go back here and see if that's far enough. And actually, yeah, I'll do it as they get into the year here. I think I might have to go to 22, but we'll check this real quick. So, yeah, we're going to have to go to 22. 22. We'll do it quicker this time. I didn't change it. Let that catch up to itself, live report. So you can see it's coming into the system, all of our different information. Now, I want to point something out to you. Top level is an automatic consolidated level. So when I'm looking at that report right now, I'm seeing it across all of my companies, right? It's all combined for me here. Now, what if I wanted to see columns for each company or for each department or anything along those lines? Well, in most systems, I'd have to go into my columns and I'd have to create a column for each thing I want and put in all these formulas and try to figure it out. But remember I said we store the information that way. So I can actually come in and maybe I want my account number or account number and name in this column. But in this column, I want it to be broken out differently. So I can come in here and say, you know what, do me a favor and expand this differently. Maybe it's by department, maybe it's by company. But I can come in here and do that quickly. So now I'm seeing it by those different departments in the system. I can do that by any dimension. So I can come in here and say, hey, do me a favor, sort this by project. And now I'm going to see a P&L by project sitting right here in the system. I can see my cost of goods sold. I can see my revenue. It's all here for me with drill down capabilities. But even more so than that, I can come out into the system, tell it I want to do something one way, like maybe I want this by location or by department, whatever it may be. So you can kind of see, I think I only have things in one company right now, but you'd be able to see it across all those companies. But not only can I do it at the column level, I can do it at the row level. So each one of these accounts can be broken down by any dimension I want. So for instance, maybe I want to come into the sales and do that by, I don't know, project, customer. So I can see this P&L, how much are we getting from these customers? Maybe I want to go to my project cost and do that by something different. Maybe I want to expand that by project or even cost code. Great, there you go. That's all there is to it. Maybe I want all of my expenses to be broken down by vendor. I can go right here to the top and just say the same thing. Let's expand it by dimension. And I can come in and say, do this by vendor. So I'm breaking this out in multiple directions very easily. That's why I'm doing it in front of you so you can see it. And I can get a report that means something to me. And it didn't take a lot of effort. So in this report, I'm breaking it down by company, but revenue is now broken down by the customer. The project costs are now broken down by the project. And if we come down here, you can see I have these broken down by the different vendors in the system. And if there's multiple vendors, you see multiple vendors. So I can really zoom in on this different information I want. Now, some of you may say, oh, that's really, really cool. You know, can I get it in Excel? And for those of you that have had problems with that in the past, it doesn't matter in here. It is a very user interface with Excel. We'll let that go ahead and export to Excel, and I will actually pop that open for you. It's opening up in Excel right now. Just give it a second, and I'm going to pull it over. You're going to see that all of that information is in the right columns. It's all available to me. So we really have that functionality broken down. Any report in the system will do this for you if there's some reason you need to put it into Excel. Now, taking this a step further, you've already seen that I could break it down by job or whatever I want to do. So what that means is we can actually do other types of reporting with this. If I scroll forward here, I'm going to open up this one. And what I want to point out is I told it, yeah, don't even worry about the GL accounts. I want you to summarize these rows by a dimension. So you saw that I can say, okay, this is how much in this account for this dimension, so forth and so on. So this is fairly easy. And when I go to the rows, I say, this is the dimension I want. In the columns, because of the way we post information, including things like the contract and the budgets to the GL via the dimensions, we can pull that into financial reporting. I can pull in the contract. I can pull in things like approved changes, or maybe the contract total, where all I say is, hey, do me a favor and add column 2 and 4 together and put it here. I can have things like my cost to date on that job. How is this happening? Well, because of the fact that in this column, all I've done is say, hey, I want you to summarize by job, but in this column, I just want the cost accounts. Add them together, tell me what the total cost is. There it is. In this column, I want the revenue for the job. That easy. I can also do that conditional formatting. So I have the ability to do things like this. Hey, in the gross profit, here's my rule. If it's less than 0, turn it red. But I can add another rule, right? I'm going to go in here and say, well, if it's greater than or equal to, I don't know, $5,000, I want you to do something different. So I have this one turning red, and this one, maybe I turn it blue. Maybe I want more of them. I can have more colors. But that quickly and easily, as you can see, these are just columns I'm adding. I can all of a sudden have a financially driven report that is a job cost report, because all the information is all the way into the GL also, which is why when I come in and look at this information, you can see the blue just got added there. and I come in and I look at this information and we drill into the cost, guess what it's doing? Drilling in through the cost of goods, labor. And if I scroll way down here, we have a lot of labor in this job, but I get down here, cost of goods subcontract, cost of goods material. It's all there for us, including the transaction, right? So when I go down, I can see what transaction pulled that information into this, giving me everything I need to be more analytical inside of Intacct. So with that, guys, I do want to come out and just explain to you one more thing here, bring this back up. So when we start talking about the different information here, I just want to open this up now to any questions you might have. I know I threw a lot of high-level information at you, and feel free. We always have the ability to do a demonstration personalized to you and what you need to see. But does anybody have any questions at this point?
Yeah, Jim, it does look like, it does look like we have a couple here for you.
Great.
Okay, 1 second here.
Okay.
Okay. All right. First question. How far back can you run financial statements? More than 2 years?
Absolutely. It never goes away. So if you're on the system for 20 years and you want to see the financial statement from 19 years, 6 months, and 3 days ago, you could.
Awesome.
Now, when you move from the product you're on into the system, understand that it depends on what data we bring in, but it's real easy to do a financial level, like a summary level at each one of these things. So you can always do year over year. And if you really want to, we could do it for as many years as you want at that level.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. And then we have another one here for you. Do you have to have Sage Timberline for Intacct, or is it included?
So you do not have to have Sage Timberline because Intacct replaces Timberline, right? If you're on Sage 100, Sage 300, or even QuickBooks, you can go to Intacct. So there is no connection between Timberline or Sage 300 and Intacct. You don't have to have one to move to the other. It is a totally brand new system you'd be moving to.
Perfect. Thank you. We have another one here for you. Keep bringing on the questions, you guys. We love it. Mm-hmm. We use Procore to create commitments. Does this work the same way with ERP?
That is a wonderful question. I want to go back and just pull up this slide real quick. And I don't know if we're looking at this information now. Oh, you have the question up. Okay. But Procore does integrate with Intacct. They developed the interface themselves. There's no more things like an HH2 median. And yes, Procore was in there when we started developing construction. They have a great interface. Yes, those subcontracts will move from Procore into the system. The invoices, if you're using Procore for your subcontractors to enter their invoices, those invoices will push into the system. Contracts, prime invoices will all move back and forth in these systems if you're using Intacct. And I believe that was the question.
Yes, thank you. All right, another one here. Does the WIP auto post or is it manual?
I love the fact that you brought that up because I do want to talk about that. Inside of Intacct, we have actually developed a complete WIP process, something that our clients have asked forever, Sage clients. So you'll notice that if I go down here to projects, there's actually a WIP management. Within this WIP management, we're going to be able to do a lot of different things. But I'm going to go into one that I have here so you can kind of see what it looks like. So when I come into the system, I have to go into edit mode here. Just let me do this. So I'm looking at this from an edit mode. And you can see all the different information. Now you see these errors. I'll explain that to you in 2 seconds. So I can see what the system says everything is. What's my cost today? What's the contract value? What are the job today costs, the billings today? So there's my estimate, my contract value, job to date cost, billings. So the system has its own idea of what percent complete you are, right? I can also import the PM forecast. So the project managers, if they're doing this in Excel or they're doing it inside Sage Construction Management and putting in those forecasted cost to complete or what percent complete they are. And also Procore does know about this and they're writing a report that will be able to pull in and update this PM forecast. So now I have two sides of the equation, right? I have the actuals in the system, what my PM thinks it is, but we're accounting. So now I can go over here and I can see the CFO information. And I can go in here and say, oh, I know who this PM is, and I'm sure he's off. So I'm going to say we're more like 89% complete. And I can actually put the information in, updating it, and get my over under billing. Yes, this will post automatically to the GL based on how you set it up and auto reverse out of the GL for you. So we have a full WIP process now. Hopefully that answered that question for you guys.
Yes, perfect. Alrighty, our next one here. What does the migration process and timeline look like to go from Sage 300 CRE to Intacct?
So I would want to get some others involved in that. But typically when you're moving to a large ERP like an Intacct, because you still have your job, right? You still have to do your day-to-day performance. We look at a total conversion somewhere around 5 to 7 months you go live. That's all the training, teaching you how to use it, all that good stuff.
Awesome. Okay, our next question. Is the invoice management system integrated, or do we need to purchase TimberScan or another invoice management system separately?
Okay, that is a great question also. I love the questions that are coming today. So TimberScan actually recreated their product in the web, and they now have a product called TimberScan Titanium that was specifically built for Intacct. Now, if you like that product, you can use it. You can use paperless. You can use a number of other ones that are all integrated to Intacct. Now, Intacct has started building out AP automation. So if I go out here and I look at my accounts payable, you'll see automated transactions. So I can actually bring in a bill into the system. We do it via email, and it will read information off of that bill for me, bring in the actual attachment. And what this uses is not OCR or anything like that. It's actually using AI. So it's getting better and better. Now, there are still a few limitations with this from an approval process, things like that. But eventually, everything can be done through the system. If, definitely all your overhead invoices and some of the job invoice can be done this way. But if you need more, we're still relying on these other products at the current time. But it is already, you can see it is already functional.
Perfect. All right, we got our next one here. Does Sage Intacct connect with Sage Services Operations?
Yes, no, well, I'm going to say yes and no to you, because just like I just mentioned with TimberScan Titanium, Service Operations was redone, and now it is called Sage Field Operations. It is a web-based version of the product that integrates with Intacct via APIs and actually has a dimension built into Intacct called work orders, so we can put them on reports. We can sort our different financials by work order. We can see, all that information, move back and forth. It uses Sage Intacct's inventory if you're doing inventory, so it can reach into the inventory, pull pieces out of the inventory. You can do purchasing there. It'll push the purchase order into the system so we can prove it, move it through our purchasing system, and then once it comes in, it'll be available for them to use on a work order over in SFO. There has been some great advancements there, and we can definitely get you a demonstration of that if you need it. It's been operating for years now.
Awesome. All right, looks like we have one more.
Okay.
All right. Are you integrated with ADP and HH2?
So the answer there is yes, depending on what you're doing and what you need. So there is an integration with a product from ADP. So it has to be like Workforce Now or Go or something like that. It has a direct interface into Intacct. It does the job costing and everything for you. HH2 has some connectivity for things like your time entry and stuff like that. And honestly, HH2 is bringing out some stuff. HH2 is bringing out its own invoice routing and approval, which is going to be interfaced to Intacct. That's supposed to be out, I think, this month even. It's even going to have a payroll. There's multiple payroll companies that we do interface with. One of the ones that a lot of our clients are liking, just to let you know, is a product called MITRE, which has a complete payroll system to it. And it's specifically designed to do nothing but construction payroll. And it's completely interfaced with Intacct.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, it looks like that is all we have for the questions today. Awesome. Perfect. Alrighty, so if there are no more questions right now, that's perfectly fine. But if you think of any questions in the future, please feel free to contact Jim or myself directly. And you're also welcome to reach out to your account managers. Your company account manager will also be in touch soon, and they will be happy to answer any questions that you have. And as a reminder, we have provided a webinar survey, so please fill that out as your feedback is so important to us. And we thank you all again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, everyone.